Good morning. How is everyone today? Woohoo! There's a lot of energy in this room, and I love that because we are going to talk about club culture today. But first, a few days ago, I was on an airplane, and you know when there's that day you just don't really want to do any work on the plane. You feel like if you start to read something, you're going to fall asleep. What do? But the flight's not long enough to pick a movie. It's long enough, though, that you want to watch something. So I was on a Delta flight, and they have this thing called master classes. So in the movies and TV shows, there's master classes, and I saw a master class on Italian cooking. And for those of you who know me, I love wine and I love food, and I really want to go to Italy one of these days. And I thought, what better way than to look and to watch some food? And so there was a Michelin chef doing a master class, and I thought, I'm going to turn this on. And you'll find out in a little bit why it was so exciting to me. Sometimes you have aha moments when you least expect them, and I had one of those this week. So on each of your tables, there is a recipe sheet that has 3 recipes. And Blaine said that we're going to be interactive today. So what I'd like to do is I'm going to give you a minute right now. You're going to work as a table. And the first thing I want you to do is look at those 3 recipes and think and decide which one of those your table would like to focus on. Is there a recipe on that card that the majority of you think you would like? So I'm going to give you 1 minute right now to come up with one of those recipes as a table. That's all you need to do right now is decide which recipe. Okay. Did everyone come up? Did you pick one of the 3? Everyone's picked a recipe? Okay. Keep that recipe in mind for a moment. I'm going to bring you back here. Thank you. Bring you back here. I'm going to have you keep that recipe in mind for just a moment. So as I was watching this Michelin chef talk about modern Italian cooking, he talked about base ingredients. And he also said, not everyone has access to the same ingredients. So sometimes you need to improvise. Sometimes you need to look at what you have available. You need to think about what might be grown locally. What might be a flavor that your particular region enjoys even more. So he said that it's important to make sure that you start with those base ingredients, but then you can add things. Add things that work with your flavor palette. And don't be afraid to keep trying to taste what you're cooking. No good chef cooks anything without tasting it. You need to make sure it tastes right. So the next thing that I would like you to do, and I'm going to give you 5 minutes at your table to do this, is that I want you to take the recipe that you selected and think about what are 3 more ingredients that your table could agree upon that could be added to that recipe to make it something that would be interesting to your whole table. So think about 3 ingredients. I'm going to give you 5 minutes that you can add to the recipe that you selected. Okay. I hope you've all gotten your 3 ingredients for your recipes. I know you're excited about food now. This is why we fed you before we did this. But anyway, I'm going to have my helper Blaine here run around to a few tables. Raise your hand if your table picked a simply traditional lasagna as your base recipe. Okay? Would one of those tables like to share what their 3 ingredients are that they added? Table in the back?
Fried zucchini, garlic, and basil. Oh, for the lasagna. Yeah, we're already on the lasagna.
So why did you pick those flavors?
Different person suggested each one, and we all agreed on them.
There you go. Thank you. Another
and
table
black
that
olives.
had
We added a 4th one because we figured that was okay.
What's your 4th?
Black
ingredient?
olives.
Thank you. Thank you. And of course, all of these recipes are made with love. But anyway, one more table that had lasagna. The table over here. Over here. Let's go over here for this one.
Basil, eggs, and Minnesota sweet corn.
Ooh. Nice, using a local ingredient. I like that. Is there what tables picked bruschetta? Okay, we have a few. Would one of those tables like to share what 3 ingredients you added? Let's come up here to the front first.
We added some nice chopped onion, some coarse ground black pepper, and to give it a Minnesota flair, a little smoked walleye.
Ooh, smoked walleye bruschetta. That sounds good. Okay, I am getting hungry now.
Pairs well with Pinot.
Pairs well with Pinot. Another table that had bruschetta. There's one directly behind you, Blaine. Let's go with that table.
We said cheese, onions, and love. And then we found out they're
Oh,
all.
I didn't mean to spoil that, but I
You
appreciate
spoiled
that. Thank you. What tables picked pesto pasta with chicken? It looks like we just have a couple tables. Which table would like to share? You're keeping your hand up over there. Sorry, I might have voluntold you.
Basil, pine nuts, Parmesan, and we also added crushed red pepper.
Very nice. Another table with the pesto chicken in the back? Either one. Let's do both of them, Blaine. Both tables in the back.
Well, we're going to swap out the pesto with just basil due to a food allergy, and swap out the pasta with a gluten-free due to a food allergy, and then add a little extra mozzarella and sun-dried tomatoes.
Wow, I'm first of all impressed that you picked that recipe to be the one to switch things out. But thank you. We'll go to the table back here.
We said some sausage, sun-dried tomatoes, herbs, and mushrooms. And then we decided we didn't know if it counted, but wine on the side.
Very nice, very nice. Well, thank you for that. And what's really interesting is you saw a variety of directions. Many times, if you talk to people around a table, you might have people that like spicy food or that like sweet food, and depending on the ingredients they add, those might be some of the things that are of interest to that table. So while I was watching this Italian modern chef talk, he said it's really about what flavors are acceptable to your palate. We all know that we like to taste and eat different things. That's okay. And as he was talking about this, and as he was saying that, let's just try some of this, and oh, we need to taste it now and see how it is. Let's try some of this, and then let's taste it again. I actually started thinking about Rotary clubs. I was like, whoa, I wasn't going to think about this at all today, and now I'm thinking about Rotary again. But it's true. Rotary clubs are like a palette of food with a recipe. We all start with a base recipe. In all reality, can we all agree that typically service and fellowship are the basis of our Rotary clubs? Yes, that's good. I appreciate it. I was seeing head nodding, but it's nice to hear affirmations as well. But primarily, service and fellowship are the base of our clubs. And then it's looking at your members. What are their taste buds like? What are their interests? What local ingredients might we have that we can incorporate into our club? What are the things that will make it desirable for a club that may have all different types of taste? How can we work together to figure that out? How can we figure out what food allergies are in the club or are things that might turn off our members? That's a great analogy to think about that. How do we maybe need to adjust? And so what I'm going to have you do now is I want us to think about, you can think about your club, you can think about just a club in general. You can think about if I'm starting or making something from scratch. If I'm going to think about my Rotary Club, or if you as a table, let's say you're a Rotary Club, we start with service and fellowship. I'm going to give you about 8 minutes, because this is going to take a little bit longer, I think. What are 3 things that you think you should add? It could be specific activities, it could be specific events, it could be just something you do at a regular weekly meeting. What are 3 things, after you think about service and fellowship, that you could do in your club or with the club that would maybe make it more inviting for not only prospective members, but for your current members as well. So think about maybe as you're at your table, think this is your membership. What is appealing to the folks at your table? Not necessarily your club at home, but your table. So I'm going to give you 8 minutes to come up with 3 things that you could add to service and fellowship to really make your club appealing. Go. I hate to break up good discussion because I see a lot of great discussion going on at the tables. And I've seen a lot of animated hand conversations too, so I'm really looking forward to seeing what your responses are. Let's bring it back. Let's bring it back as a group. Thank you. It's been fun to watch some of the tables because I see some very animated conversations going on. And these are great conversations to have, especially as we're thinking about what do we do in our clubs to make them inviting and engaging. Do we have a table that would like to share their items? And if you didn't get to 3, that's okay. Would we have a table that would like to share? Let's go to the back. Back here, I see a hand.
And they said I wouldn't stand for this. Part of it was food, part is socialization, or socializing, Rotary education. But a question I brought up is, what is fellowship? How do you define it? And from what we've all been saying, it's not a question of how we define it, it's how the new member defines it. One of the things we touched on, who trains the new member? And I wish my club did it, and it's where we're going, but we're going to interview the new member. What are your interests? What do you like to do? And then start pairing with people who can bring them along and help them. And most importantly, get them involved early where they're doing things.
Thank you for those. Another table. I like the question of what is fellowship, though. That's good, because it is good for us to define that. We have a hand up here. I'm blinded a bit by the light, so if you're raising your hand in that area, you might have to wave a little bit.
There were a couple of really great ideas at our table, and one of the things is instead of having like the pledge and inspiration or having a speaker, a single person come up and do something, a couple things that came up. One new president is going to change that to say instead of an inspiration, the inspiration is my why. And so every week, a member of the club will talk about why are they there, which I love and will help. The other one is, a couple of other ones is just around member engagement, so that having, instead of the inspiration, having a couple of minutes of talking amongst your table or a key question and engaging people, or passing the mic to several people, so you get 4 or 5 people every meeting, so you bring people in, which I think they were great ideas.
Thank you for sharing. Another table. I know it's brave to put yourself out there sometimes, but it's okay. Go up here.
I think it's super important to welcome people, and that could be done by either our club or board members, people who are good at welcoming, and we'll usher them in so we'll have a foundation for our guests and our membership. Also, I loved what we said at our table is that when we do have a guest, a president will write a note and say, thank you for coming. We appreciate you taking the time out to do this, and maybe some other things in there. The third thing we had was the importance of storytelling that we found out. And storytelling, I think, is so vitally important to Rotary. We could have PowerPoints before our meeting starts to tell the good works of what our club has been doing, giving data, showing pictures of the things that we're doing on a local level, international level. I love this table over here said that different Rotarians tell their story and their why every week. That's storytelling. I love that. And then inviting non-Rotarians to our service projects. I think that's vitally important to expose them to what we're doing in a non-threatening, shall we say, for lack of a better word, manner. And that's it. Thank
you. I'd like to have at least 2 more tables share. This is how we come up with ideas. Even if you walk away with one little nugget of something today and you say, I want to try that in my club, that's helpful. We're moving the needle.
We talked about cross-collaboration of clubs doing more things in cities that have multiple clubs, just collaborating together to give more perspective and more passion around Rotary.
More collaboration. Any other things that any of you would like to add to just the base things of Rotary? One more table, please. There we go.
We didn't actually talk about this, but when they were talking about getting up and saying your why, our club did a thing. I researched the history of the four-way test, and then I read it to our club, like where it came from, what it meant to the founder. And then each month we picked one of them and had members sign up to say how that has helped them in their lives or how they've seen that in Rotary.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing all of your ideas. And I know there's probably some more out there. And the conversation, like I said, was great at each table. Keep those conversations up. One of the neatest things when I was listening to that masterclass on Italian cooking was that this Michelin chef said that as long as you start with a base recipe, that's honoring tradition of Italian cooking. So he said a lot of Italian recipes, you have the base that is true Italian cooking. You honor and respect those traditions. But it's okay to add your own flavor. It's okay to keep tasting and try it different. The recipe may not be the same every time. And so I started thinking about that with our clubs. Many times we get mired down in tradition because we've always done it that way. I see a lot of heads nodding when I say that. How many of you, and this is just, I'm not going to call on you, how many of you, by just a show of sheer faith, know that there are things in your club you do just because you've always done it that way that really doesn't make you happy? I saw some hands shoot up right away. That's common. That's very common. And if you're thinking of it as what I would consider a more passionate Rotarian, being here since you're going to be leading your clubs, think about those members that aren't as passionate as you. What are they thinking about some of those things? And so it really comes down to looking at the flavor of your club. And how do you find out what the flavor of your club is? You're going to have to ask them. You're going to have to sit and figure out if your club is your table right now. You probably needed to kind of see what people like a little bit. You had to say, hey, I'm thinking about this idea. What do you think? You're not going to serve spicy food to a table that only likes sweets. Your reviews aren't going to be very good. Think about that as you're a president. What are you serving up to your club? Is it really what they want? We need to figure that out. And there are so many tools to do that. Just as a chef keeps tasting the recipe and tasting with new ingredients, you need to do health checks. You need to do some surveys. And there's so many great tools that are out there for you to do that. How many of you have heard of the Rotary Club, the health checkup? Okay, some of you have. If you haven't, first of all, rotary.org/membership, there are a list of tools. This is one of them. And it's a quick little, there's, I don't know, it's 10 or 12 pages, but don't make that feel daunting. But there's a lot of great little checkbox for you to go through and really think about your club. And it's not that you have to do each of those, but it's just to do an introspective look and get a feel for, how are we doing? Have we thought about this? Have we talked about this? I led a session yesterday on courageous conversations. And sometimes we just need to talk about it. Bring it up. See what your club thinks about a particular thing that you are doing. Another great way to do this is something I like to call, and you heard it in one of the videos very briefly yesterday, it's stop, start, continue. You can do this very simply in your club by having small slips of paper at each table with pens at a club meeting. You can have 3 gift bags, you can have 3 buckets, you can have whatever you want. Label them stop, start, and continue. Ask your club members to write down something they think your club should continue to do, something they like, something your club should definitely stop doing, something they don't like, and something you think your club should start doing. The great thing about this is no one knows what that person's writing on the paper because they just drop it into a bucket at the end, whether it's a stop, start, or a continue. Now, you may already know what 80% of that is going to come back as. You might have a gut feeling. Don't be afraid of your gut. It usually takes you down the right path. It also tells you what flavors you like. But think, when you look at that, there's going to be about 20% that come back that you're like, whoa, where did that one come from? But it's a nice kind of anonymous way of doing a quick temperature check of what's going on in your club. The other thing, and it was brought up at a table up here with new member orientation, who's training our new members or who's talking to them, finding out what their passions are. Do you know what your club members' passions truly are? Because we all know that once we get connected to something, we're hooked. I'm going to use an example, and one of our club president-elect is actually here, but I'm going to use an example of something our club started talking about a year ago. And the good news was it came about because we came back from International Convention, shared a presentation, talked about President Gordon's initiatives, of which mental health was one. Just by giving that presentation and mentioning that mental health was a priority, we had instantly, I can't even tell you how many club members said, we need to do something in that space. I was shocked at the number of people that said, I want to get involved in that space from our club. It wasn't something that had ever really been on our radar. Yes, we've been looking at what community needs were, but at that moment, we had a lot of people raise their hands and say, I'm passionate about that. And so we have gone down an entire path of doing a variety of mental health initiatives, working with our community, our county behavioral health coalition. We brought in speakers into the schools. We had a parent night with resources talking about mental health. We did farmer appreciation bags at the local grain elevator that were snack goodie bags with our mental health resources inside, because we know that that's a hard audience to crack. They don't like to talk about your mental health. But this was something that has energized a membership portion of our club that, yeah, they came to meetings, they showed up, but they probably weren't as passionate about it as they would be. And so we have connected those members with something of interest. So think about that as you have your club projects. It's great. One of those survey questions, there's membership surveys, by the way, on that membership website that I was mentioning. Survey your membership and don't forget to ask, what are you passionate about? I can tell you that we have a member in our club, if there's anything to do with animals, she's on board. She's a huge advocate for pets and animals, so I know that's her passion. I know that if we do something, we can draw her into a project or something that does animals. Or how can we take her love of that and incorporate it into something else we're doing? We did a mental health walk fundraiser. Guess what? We might do next year on our next one. She might bring some pets from the Humane Society to have us walk some of those dogs while we're doing our mental health walk. We have now just added her into an existing project that now she's passionate because we're incorporating her passion with it. So it's really important to get to know your club members. It's just like that recipe we were talking about. We know that we're like-minded people. That's why we're in Rotary. That's why service and fellowship means something to all of us. But what are those extra spices or seasonings or flavors or ingredients that we can add to our club that appeal to the taste buds of all of our members? What are those things that we can draw them in with? The aroma of Rotary has already brought them there. How do we get them to taste it and really like it and stick with it? So I know that I did this exercise with recipes, and once again, I literally had this aha moment on the airplane when I was watching this masterclass, because I almost felt like this chef was talking to me about our membership. So I encourage you to take this activity. You can do this in your club. I don't care. I'll share my little recipe sheet that I quickly pulled off the internet. I will gladly share that with all of you. But you can use this exercise to have your club think about what they would like to see in their meetings. Bring it up and say, hey, today we're going to do, instead of a program, a speaker coming in, we're going to talk about our own club. What if we were to start a recipe from scratch? What if we were to just completely start over? What are some things that you would like to see in our club? Worst case scenario, it spurs some discussion, and you might learn a few things about some of your members. Best case scenario, it could transform your club. You could finally realize that maybe we've been doing a pancake breakfast for years and absolutely everyone hates it. And now we've come up with a new fundraising idea, and guess what? We just made 3 times the amount of money because we had members that were passionate about doing it. Connect people with their passions. That's what we do in Rotary. Every Rotary leader that talks to you will tell you stories about those moments when they became a Rotarian. Those are the moments you were trying to facilitate in your clubs. And the moments you can get your members to have those aha moments or to feel like a Rotarian, those are the moments that are going to make a difference. And those are the moments that you're going to see more engaged club members, more active club members, and then a more attractive club for even more people to join. So I just want you to think about that. Feel free, like I said, to do this in your own clubs and to explore really getting to know what are those flavors that your clubs enjoy. Thank you. I believe I ended a little bit early, so quite a bit early actually. So continue, if you would, right now. You can continue to have some of these discussions at your table, because I think this is also a peer group for you to bounce ideas off of. Everyone in this room is at the same stage. Everyone in this room is thinking about, oh my goodness, what am I going to tackle first? What am I going to do? What should I do? I hope none of you are sitting there thinking, let's just keep doing what we've always been doing. Because you know why? You're always going to get what you've always gotten. And if you're having some declining membership or unengaged people in your club, that's what you'll continue to get. Don't be afraid to try a new flavor. Guess what? If it doesn't work, you can try something else. You only make one recipe at a time, and it's okay. Sometimes they're flops. Sometimes we have to throw them away. But at least you tried. You tried to connect and you tried to reach out. So feel free to continue to have those discussions or have them with other members of your club that might be here. Or take this back and please do this in your club and find out what flavors they enjoy. Thank you very much.